Patreon exclusive.
Who wants a mustache ride?
Hey Patreon supporters, you're tuned in to After Hours presented by Realm of the Mist Entertainment. Listener discretion advised.
You sound very distant.
Because he's in a bathtub.
I'm rinsing my hair out. Give me a second.
Well, we got to give him
earbuds.
since we got to give him a second. We might as well let everybody know that it's recording.
And there it is.
Welcome to After Hours.
Cold open. I'm your host, Anvil, the all-consuming flame of gluttony, coming to you live and loud from a bathtub. Full of
You can tell it's in the bathtub. You got some headphones? Get some earbuds on, dude.
I only have one set of headphones, and it's in the basement right now, and I'm not going down there getting my feet all dirty. Coming back to my nice clean bathtub.
We can live with it.
Not to mention the fact
right.
that it's one of the few
It's
things.
better to sound echoey and distant.
Not to mention the fact that it's one of the rare things that he has that he actually spent a good amount of money on and tries to take good care of.
His bathtub?
No, his earphones.
I was gonna say his bathtub. Yeah, his bath soap. Do you have like a variety of bath soaps that you use?
Well, I sort of do. I like just plain Epsom salt to add to it, because I always use way more salt than you're supposed to.
Does that cause shrinkage?
A little bit. It helps keep my ankles from swelling, so.
I don't think that's the type of shrinkage she's talking about there, buddy.
I'm well aware.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Calgon. Calgon, take me away.
I get various scented salt to add to it so that it has a nice aroma. Right now, the only one I have is the clary sage chamomile, but I'm very partial to mint and rosemary.
The chamomile's gonna make you tired.
That's the point. It's supposed to relax you.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming from the guy who is constantly doing a hippie dance to the groove of life, you don't need to be more calm.
Hey, don't take my mellow, man.
Look, he's the new DM of Chronicles of the Lost Realm. Do us a favor, don't piss off the DM.
It's a valid point.
Yeah, well, I can't help it. I'm a newbie, and he's my older brother, and I got to get my jabs in where I can. And
Fair
we're not
enough.
playing right now, so...
Fair enough. All right.
I'm just saying, I have some very, very sinister, diabolical, horrible, awful shit planned for you guys.
And what he means by that, and with the message earlier saying we don't have enough money, he's taking us to a whorehouse.
That's a very good guess.
I own a bar. I've got the money.
I got some money left over after getting my gear, but I am going to need more.
Speaking of, we'll have to do off After Hours. We'll
Right.
have to sit down and figure out how much time has passed since I
Give me a
bought the
second,
bar,
I'm
so I know
gonna
my.
get in here in just a second.
All right.
Give me something. Give me a second.
Yep.
So that way we could figure out how much income I've actually accumulated.
Sweet.
Also, I've decided that I'm also going to, just outside your tavern, I'm going to put a quest board where you guys can go fight monsters for a random diecast of money to fight a random diecast selected monster.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
It's an MMO. Chronicles of the Lost Realm becomes an MMO.
This will be interesting.
That way, if you guys ever need extra money or anything, which you might...
I have a feeling we will.
Please, brave adventurer. I am in dire need. I will pay you 30 silver if you walk across the street and grab that teacup that I forgot to take with me.
Done deal.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I'm sorry, I don't know at least one person who's in the chat. Why don't we do our introductions?
That's where I was trying to get it to go, but we were in the conversation of Calgon take me away. So
So Yue Blackwings here, co-host of Press A Gaming and host of Journey to the East podcast.
Christopher Stolle, I have way too many shows to even announce. You know them by now.
Next.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah,
Oh, is it
this
my
is
turn?
Chris Rutter. I'm the host of What's Your Effing Binge.
I guess I'll go. I'm Kim. I'm host of One Non-Blonde.
Yeah, is it my turn?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. My worst holiday, where you tell me your most funny or embarrassing life stories and promote the shit out of yourself.
Yeah, but the best part about it is explaining where you're coming from.
I mean,
Live in
I
his
can tell you lots of
basement next to his
embarrassing stories
bathroom.
about
Where am I coming from? From a room next to my bathroom in my basement.
Yeah. That's actually part of his intro, and I love it every time I hear it.
Well, here's the thing. I bought this house, and when I came downstairs for the first time, and I turned left from the bottom of my stairs, there's just a toilet and a sink out in the middle, like there's nothing around it, just a toilet and a sink. Ta-da! That's it. And
Pittsburgh
so
bathroom.
yeah, exactly. So I built a bathroom around it, but next to that toilet was another room. So I built a toilet, a bathroom around that. So you had to go through the bathroom to get to the room. So I turned that into my studio, so it's in a room next to my bathroom in my basement.
Well, all right then.
I mean, it makes
The
sense.
bathroom. The bathroom is the center focus of his house.
From a room next to my bathroom in my basement. This is my worst holiday.
How you guys been holding up with the continued lockdown, like especially with your shows and all that? Like watching My Worst Holiday live. It's weird seeing you sit by yourself without your co-host there.
I know it. It sucks. It sucks so bad, man. Stabby is so fucking cool, and he's amazing. He's fucking funny. He's great. He looks like John. He looks like a young John Candy, and he's just so good. And now I got to bring him in like a remote, and it sucks.
This is why I don't do live video feeds, because of the fact that you would just be looking at me and hear everybody else's voices.
That's fair.
It's all the voices in your head, man. Just tell them all you're crazy.
Yeah, it's not too far from the truth.
I mean, for me, it's not that off because I normally do podcasting with everyone either over this or Skype or Discord. So, I mean, with my new podcast with Zephyr, we're still doing the same formats.
I'm not entirely convinced that this is even happening. This might just be all in my head. Who knows?
That sounds about right.
God, I hope it's in your head.
I've only ever
There's
met
not
one
much
of
in
you.
there.
Well, if it's in his head, we should get the rest of it out of his head. That would be good.
Trust me, in his head is not a bad place. There's a lot of room there.
There's a lot of room.
It's just lacking furniture.
Yeah.
Yes.
We lost somebody. Did we lose our host? No, we got our host.
No, we lost Holiday.
Oh, we lost Holiday. Well, that
He'll
sucks.
probably be back in a minute. He was having connection issues.
True.
He's off on holiday.
It's his worst holiday.
So, Anvil, I realized that Rutter and I decided, or not Rutter, I'm sorry, Stolle and I decided to hijack Press A Gaming the other day. Why did you hijack After Hours?
I just felt like it. I felt like Chris could use a break.
while I'm on the show.
Well, I would say that you're not directing the conversation, but when do you ever direct the conversation on this show?
I mean, to be fair.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
I get to ask a question once in a great while when I'm host. Whether I ever answer or not, nobody knows, but I get to ask a question once in a while.
Very, very true.
So tell us, Chris, why? Tell our listeners why I would possibly think that you need a break.
Well, nice segue. The reason Anvil's hosting this episode is I'm in an extremely shit, and the reason I'm in an extremely shit mood is I got some information from the Department of Justice dealing with a case that handled my kids and look, I'm going to put it out there because most people here, even the people close to me here, don't really know me. In a sense of shit that I and my family have been through in some way, shape, or form. And what people do know of me is that I'm a divorced father of 3. One of my kids is 23 years old, but the other 2 are still minors, so I'll leave their names out of it. But unfortunately, the situation deals with them, the 2 minors. And that situation is when my ex-wife and I separated and we're going through the divorce proceedings. She was going out screwing around with her boyfriend, which is the reason why we divorced and separated to begin with. She would leave the kids in the care of somebody who was supposed to be a close friend of hers. And this person proceeded, and I'm not going to pull any punches. So, guys, I'm going to tell you right now.
Trigger warning.
Very much a trigger warning. Very much if you don't want to hear something that's going to be very dark and evil. And this is all public record, by the way. You could look this shit up. So that way I'm not bullshitting you in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I will be giving the defendant's name because fuck him. But just fair warning, this shit is not pretty. They were leaving him she was leaving him in the care of somebody who was not only molesting and raping my children, but putting it on the internet.
Oh my God.
And my children at the time were 1 and 2 years old. He was busted by Homeland Security and ICE because he was trafficking the videos online.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I am not. The guy's name is Stephen Mazer. You could look up the case in the file.
He was putting that online?
Yeah, he was selling child pornography online.
And how did you get out?
Holy God! Are you fucking?
Because
no.
before Homeland Security and ICE were directed to do their actual jobs of immigration enforcement, when we had a president, now, again, this is not a shot at anybody who's Democrat or liberal, but when we had a president that was more interested in things other than immigration, ICE and Homeland were directed towards cyber crimes, particularly child pornography.
Holy shit.
And they caught him and they identified the victims in his videos, in which case they discovered that my 2 children were 2 of the victims.
Oh, God, no.
Well,
God, no.
Long story short, we went through a long court proceeding that finally gave him 60-plus years without possibility of parole.
Oh, put 2 in his brain pan.
Well, the only reason
put 2 in his fucking brain pan.
The only reason he still lives is because Homeland Security got him before I did. But now here comes to the present day problem. This was in 2014. They sentenced him to 60 days, or excuse me, 60 years.
Thank you.
60 years. The problem is I just got contacted by the Department of Justice that he had a hearing today.
No, he didn't. Don't do this.
Appeals hearing?
No, he's had 2 appeals hearings that both of them were denied. This one was for sentence reduction, and not been able to tell. They have not been able to tell me if he was approved or not, and how much time has been taken off his sentencing.
Oh no! No.
Give me 1 second.
How many counts? Because not only just your children, there's other people. So he should be down for like life, never coming out.
I don't know. I don't know about anybody else's children.
Man.
I don't know about anybody else's children. I only know about my own personal case. And he was hit by not only the federal government, but the city of Philadelphia, since it happened in Philadelphia. Well, excuse me, the state of Pennsylvania. It wasn't Philadelphia. It was the state of Pennsylvania, because it happened technically. No, this happened in Philly. Yeah, it was in Philly. Okay. And technically it was 40 years by the federal government, followed by an additional 20 by the city of Philadelphia, not to be served concurrently. So in other words, he can't start Pennsylvania's sentencing until after he finishes federal sentencing.
Yeah, he finishes the other one.
Right.
Okay,
So either the federal or the Pennsylvania has given up some of the time.
It sounds like it was the federal that did.
Well, I was about to say I got contacted by the Department of Justice, not.
So that means they've given up some time, which is bullshit.
But the problem is they can't. I guess they haven't given a final verdict as to how much time or whatever, or if they even approved it. So all I was given is that there was a hearing.
This was happening.
No, you never get out. You never get out. That's it. Period. That's it. You never get out.
They shouldn't. Especially, it's like if you have video proof, then you know that's not like a hearsay. So they should never let somebody like that out, ever.
Well, and here's the other thing. I mean, in every iteration that I've at least ever heard, there's very few people that make it out of jail alive, because once the inmates hear what you're in for, you're automatically marked as a dead person. And that right there puts you pretty freaking high up on the list.
Which is why I'm giving out his name and the fact that he's in a penitentiary in Arizona. I want him dead. And I promise you, if he's not going to die in prison, if he doesn't die in prison, if they release his ass.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah,
premeditated. Premeditated.
It absolutely will be premeditated. I will not have my children grow up in a world with this monster free.
Fair. All right. As long as you're fine with premeditated, please continue.
This is what I'm dealing with right now. Because I thought that this was handled. And I just had this slapped in my face today, literally while editing a video game review for Fallout 76. I had this slapped in my face.
So what I do is funny. That fucker needs to die.
Well,
so,
I'm making mead, and when it comes out, you get the first bottle.
You're making what?
So,
mead.
I'm making dandelion mead.
Oh. That sounds hippie-ish as hell.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's actually not terrible.
I know dandelions are supposedly edible. I've never actually eaten them. I know people that get them in salads and shit. So, who knows? It may be great, but I know nothing about dandelions outside of the annoying weed you cut when you mow your lawn.
Great. Oh, no. It's like, I'll tell you what, if you like a tart green, like a dandelion green is fantastic.
So, we actually only used the petals, which are real sweet. Kind of like, they have almost a honey-ish flavor.
A dandelion is like one of the best food sources you can actually get.
True.
Everybody treats them like a weed, but if you fucking go pluck all those fuckers out of your yard and do like what you're saying, or use the greens for them, the greens are tart, but they're like a huge antioxidant. They're a huge source of iron. They're incredible.
Everyone treats them as a weed, but like it's a plant that flowers literally all year. Like we have them popping up through the snow out here. So I mean, like they flower literally all year, and you can eat them. How is that worse than grass?
I'm not dogging it. I'm not saying it's terrible or whatever. But I mean, I grew up knowing it as a weed. As such, I won't eat it. It's kind of like Rocky.
That's the funny thing is you've got an ultimate food source right there, like an ultimate food source, and like he's talking about, like actually making the dandelion drink out of it. Like you can do so many things with dandelions, and everybody looks at it as like this nuisance, but it's an ultimate food source.
Well, fuck it. I'm willing to try anything mostly once, except for Rocky Mountain oysters. Fuck it. Why not?
Now, what I want you to do right now, Christopher.
I'm not going out into the yard and grabbing a dandelion. I may have been drinking half the day, but doesn't mean I'm dumb enough to do that. I know people walk their dogs on my lawn.
No, Christopher, no. Smart enough to do that. So I want you to go out to your yard and be very smart. And eat a dandelion.
Here's the problem with that. He's not that smart when he's sober. I highly doubt he's that smart when he's drunk.
Somebody's been listening to Chronicles of the Lost Realm. No, the fact is I have neighbors who don't believe in curbing their dogs. So even if I was willing to do that, I'm pretty sure I would get more flavor than I bargained for.
I'm sure the ammonia in it would cure the corona. So you can do that too.
See, this is why
I was going to warn you of.
Look at me doing physics and science and all that other shit as well.
Well, this is the major reason why Anvil is hosting, and I decided that we would go ahead and do an after hours, even though I had the news and the situation that I have right now. Which again, I don't have confirmation that anything has changed. It's just the thought that something could.
Yeah.
It's just the thought that something could, but this is
like with what they have on it, dude. I think you're fine.
Yeah.
Let that fucker burn, and he's gonna burn.
Not to mention the fact that he's got 20 years guaranteed in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but right now he's not in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but Pennsylvania is going to be tougher than Arizona.
Not really, because we have a district attorney right now who wants to let all criminals go because of coronavirus.
Well, that's bullshit.
And that is fact. He wants to let them all go so that they could be safe.
I'm still a big fan of the penal colony method.
Oh, boy.
And here's why.
I like where you're going with this.
So, our Constitution says that we're not allowed to use cruel or unusual punishment. There are countless tropical islands in the Pacific that cannot be reached or left by boat because of the currents and the rocks. But this is the modern era where we have helicopters that could easily drop people in there. We could drop them in and use it as a penal colony, which is both not unusual because it has been used for countless decades by just about every major power in the world. And two, it's not cruel because everything you need to survive is right there, and it's what a large number of people would consider a paradise.
Like dandelions.
Other rapists and murderers that we dropped there.
Yeah.
Let's drop some dandelion seeds in them.
Yeah, there we go.
I more subscribe. I don't care what the Constitution says about cruel and unusual. I thoroughly believe not only in the death penalty system. I also believe that we should be having
two in the brain pan.
I believe we should. Well, not only do I believe that like the death penalty system, I believe that there is no room for to borrow a Ron White joke, if I will. When he was talking about Texas putting a legislation in that is more than three. Yes, put an express lane. From the moment you are charged and sentenced to death, they should take you straight from the courthouse and end you. The end. Problem solved. Because of the fact that not only is it a burden on the taxpayers, this person's getting 3 hots and a cots and free fucking cable on our dime. The fact that every time he takes a breath, he's stealing it from somebody who deserves it more, or she.
See, here's my issue.
I not only subscribe to that. Let me finish. Not only do I subscribe to that, but I do very much believe in eye for an eye as well. If you murdered somebody by 2 shots to the back of the head, that's how you go. If you raped and beat somebody to death, then how do you think you should go?
Well, interesting topic, and I think a very good
I'm an
question
eye for an eye. I'm an eye for an eye. I'm with you, Christopher. I know we're not on the same. We're definitely 2 totally different.
Personalities.
We're opposite sides of the fence. We'll put that at that.
Politically, we have 2 different ideologies.
I'm absolutely 100% down with what you just said.
So, something of
I disagree
interest,
for one reason.
and this is who I wanted to have talk.
The victims' families. They now
What
have to
about 'em?
suffer through life with something that they loved more than anything else ripped from them, taken away in the blink of a fucking eye. They have to suffer through that for the rest of their lives. That's why I think the death penalty is
I see what you're saying. There's not
merciful.
enough suffrage. Not enough suffrage
Exactly.
for somebody that's taken out very quickly.
I
agree. I
that's
agree
why
with
I like
that as
penal
well.
colony. You give
I agree with that as well.
everyone a knife, a singular knife. Anyone who is a convicted rapist or murderer, give them a knife. Drop them on an island with all the other rapists and murderers. And let them fight it out and suffer through it. If they survive, they survive. If they don't, well, they got what was coming to them.
So, Anvil, how much time have you had to think about that one, considering present circumstances with certain things that you know?
Oh, a fair amount. So my father, the man who raised me, the one who once yelled at me for looking at a girl's butt because it was disrespectful, as it turns out, is a rapist and possible serial killer.
Oh, wow.
Let me rephrase that. Probable serial killer.
What?
Just wait. Just let him finish.
You know what? I love podcasting because I meet the most individual people ever.
I was about to say, this After Hours has taken a very weird turn.
Well, Christopher, you took us down a real dark fucking tunnel. And
I swear to
everybody else is,
I swear.
I guess they're real fucking dark too. I'm not dark.
I swear to fucking God, I was hoping that I would get this off my chest and then we would have some laughs. I didn't know it would lead this way. I'm not going to stop it from happening, but this wasn't my intent.
No, I know.
Go ahead, Anvil. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, let's do Rodney Dangerfield lines then. Let's do. Hey, you can tell she's not two-faced. If she was, she'd be wearing the other one. How about that?
I was so poor growing up that if I wasn't born a boy, I wouldn't have anything to play with.
I'll tell you what. My wife, she makes so much noise during sex. I have to yell over the nearest house. Hey, keep it down.
But anyway, Anvil, I'm sorry.
Nice girl in college. Only fucked twice. The band and the football team.
But go ahead, Anvil. You were finishing your unfortunate story.
Oh no, it's
okay. Bring her back down, Christopher. There it is.
Well, it's only fair. I got to air my dirty laundry. If he wants to air his, it's only polite.
well, it's been quite a roller coaster. He apparently, according to Lawrence County Police Department or Sheriff's Department, who has been very untruthful to my entire family and literally flat out lied to the media, and has manipulated my mother on multiple occasions. So I'm taking any information they've given me with a grain of salt at this point.
Right.
They claim that the FBI has been following him since the 80s, but never bothered to, try to take this family that he sort of enveloped away so that, they weren't in danger. But, whatever.
I feel
yay, government.
I feel that this episode, more so than most normal episodes of After Hours, needs to have a parental advisory warning because this is a very dark area. But I'm going to ask you a question, Anvil, that you could decline to answer if you choose to. But because of the situation, especially if the quote unquote sheriff's department's keeping an eye on him since the 80s, and I know you're not that old. Right. I've got to ask. He didn't do anything to you or your siblings or anything, did he?
Definitely not me. I'm 99.99% sure not Ashley. Kelly represses memories like it's a sport. So if he did, we wouldn't know, but I don't think he did.
It's hard to speak on behalf of somebody else.
He was very meticulous about, keeping the lives separate so that nobody would know.
Kind of very Dexter-ish, not to throw a TV series on it, but hiding his true life from his.
You don't exactly, Christopher. You don't know what's in somebody else's mind. I mean,
right.
You can know somebody's entire life, but never know what's in their mind.
Like one of the detectives compared him to Ted Bundy, and he wasn't exactly wrong.
Holy shit.
And for anyone who wants more information on this, Alex, who made the TV show?
Oh, yes. Cold Justice released an episode about one of his murders. One of the murders that they're trying him for.
Holy shit.
The one that he's currently in jail to be tried for, so. But, it just aired a little while back. His name is Lawrence Timmons, if you want to look it up.
Holy shit.
Please do, because some of the news articles that they've written on this whole thing will absolutely make you want to hurl.
Oh, yeah. God.
So, be warned. It will be graphic. If you look up him and start reading the news articles, it's very graphic. Be warned, because a lot of people cannot handle that. But
this is some crazy shit.
Yeah, you want this? You want this one for My Worst Holiday? You want this episode for that?
I'm funny. I can't make jokes about any of this.
No, I get that.
I mean, you say that, but I've been making jokes about it for a while now.
I absolutely can. But it's nothing to be joked about. So I'm not that guy.
I've come to the point where if I don't make humor from it, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So
well, that's
like I'm thinking you're referring to the minivan that I got from my dad as the serial killer van, even though it was really my grandfather's van, and Dad really only had it for a little while.
Humor comes from pain and surprise. And I usually like to take advantage of all of that, but I can't do that right now.
Well, to be fair, Rutter and Kim have...
Congratulations, fuckers. You just tied my hands.
There you go. Well, Rutter and Kim have both been...
I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all happy that I can't fucking make jokes today.
Well, I'm going to give you the opportunity, but before I do... Rutter and Kim, you guys have been completely quiet in this. I'm gonna open the floor to everybody else here in a minute to make sure nobody else has any laundry they'd like to share before we get to the comedy side of this show. But I'm curious in particular about you two guys being so extra quiet.
Well, I guess for me, I mean, for me, with your situation, I spent 15 years actually going around talking about the situation of protecting your children and stuff like that. So it hits home to me because I've talked to a lot of people who've been in your situation, and so it kind of when you hear about it and you know about it, it just makes me angry, and so I just didn't want to say anything too much, but. And then with your dad, I don't know you yet, but I get it. You need to have some humor because I think if I was you, I would be, wanting to try to. If you didn't laugh, you're gonna end up not knowing what to do. So I give you a lot of credit for that. And
thank you.
That's a lot, because you can't. Again, back to you can't own it, and I think that's one of the things, Chris, with your kids. Obviously, thank God they were little, but still doesn't matter. They were still involved in it. They can't own it, nor can you. You just have to just keep them strong,
Well, that's That's one of the things that I'm lucky with, but it's also been a complete nightmare for me.
Yeah,
which kind of goes to what Holiday was saying about like comedy comes from pain, and a lot of you guys through these podcasts and everything, you know, not to toot my own horn or pat myself on the back, you guys tell me I should try stand-up comedy because sometimes what comes out of my mouth is funny. I said some people.
I've never said that.
I said some people.
I've never said that, Chris.
No,
Okay.
what you said, but what you said about pain and darkness is what comedy comes from, pain and surprise. The problem is I've been blessed with the fact that luckily thus far my kids were too young. They don't remember it. They haven't had any reoccurrences of it.
Thank God.
Thank God. But the darkness.
I went through my own thing. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, I went through my own thing. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, thank God that they're not going to be old enough to remember any of it.
Well, that's the thing. It's for me though. It's a very, very fresh memory that I carry every day. Every time I look at my children.
The problem is that you know it.
Exactly.
And you probably blame yourself.
You know it.
Well, that's where
no
I was going to go with it. That's where I was going to go with it.
Yeah, there's nothing more horrifying in a father or a mother's mind is that you can't extract the vengeance that you want to give.
I won't bring the mother into this. That's a whole other episode. No, for myself, and I before I say this, I'm going to go ahead and put the disclaimer out there. I don't blame myself in the fact that I know it was beyond my control. I know that during the time my ex-wife and I were separated, I wasn't getting to see the kids the way that I should have been at the time. Everything was still a chaotic mess in the separation. So it was something that I could not stop or control. That being said,
wrap your mind. In a serious note, you can always wrap your mind around what if.
Exactly, and I think that's the worst. I think that's the worst part about it.
Unfortunately, reality is what it is, and there's certain things that's out of your control that you cannot control. But the what ifs in your mind will never ever fucking die.
Well, the what ifs are not necessarily the worst part because I have a rational enough mind. Personally, what you're saying is absolutely true for other people that might be in my situation.
Yeah.
For myself,
what if I would have done this?
Right.
What if I would have done that? What if I could have done this? What if I could have done that? And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to change what is.
But the problem that I feel, the problem that I feel, and most everybody here who is a parent in some way will understand this feeling. It's the worst feeling. It is the biggest fear every parent has ever had. What I deal with on every single day is knowing the fact that whether my control means fault or otherwise, I have failed to do the one job that a parent is expected to do, and that is protect your children.
Yeah.
I am completely 100% behind you on this, Chris.
Yeah, I do too. It's hard.
And I can relate. I'll put it that way. I can relate.
Yeah. And the thing is even like when they're older, you still want to protect them. But when they're babies, you definitely want to protect them.
That is the feeling I deal with on a daily basis, almost to the point that I would say that I deal with a form of depression because of it. Not to the sense that I feel I need to speak to a therapist or be on medications, but I mean it's always in the back of my mind.
No. And I have had to deal with something very similar. Not to the extreme that it's bad, but I completely yeah.
You guys might lose me soon.
I feel that I failed as a dad, as a father, to protect my child.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more horrific that you could ever imagine in your mind.
And it like I said, every time I see my kids or talk to them on the phone or whatever, I mean, I find myself watching their behavior. Like my youngest son, he's got kind of behavioral issues. Could it be ADD or something of that nature? Sure. Could it be autism? Maybe. I don't know if he's been tested. The mother doesn't really give me all the details. And stuff, or is he just a hyperactive kid who just rather play video games and not listen? Who knows? But of course, in the back of my mind, I'm also wondering, is this some manifestation of the trauma that he went through? You know, I find myself watching them, and any behavioral pattern, I have to wonder, is this something that could have been caused by this? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, and the worst part about it is while you're facing that nightmare, you got to put on that for lack of a better term, you got to put on that mask, that brave face around them, like nothing in the world is wrong.
Right. And that's what you completely do. You completely go on. You completely go on, and you be a great parent. You be everything that you can, because again, like you said, they don't remember. I don't remember anything that when I was 2, 3 years old, and they'll never remember that either. Right. And thank God for that, because children are so completely innocent, and they don't know or understand or remember anything. Thank God.
Fingers crossed. That's the other fear, is that one day. Like, okay, I have a daughter. Okay, one of the 2 children is a girl. The other one's a boy. And of course I worry about the boy too. But people I think it'll resonate with people better if I talk about my daughter for a minute in one of my fears. And that fear is that she will not have normal, healthy relationships in the future. Not now. She's 12 or 11 people. She's going to be 12. Not for any.
12 too.
Not for any of you fucking perverts. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that, like, when the time comes when she becomes older and she starts becoming sexually active, something that just made me throw up in the back of my throat a little bit. And she starts dating and seeing boys, or in my
the same thing, my brother,
or in my perfect world, a bull dyke lesbian who hates men.
You don't want that. Oh God, you don't want that.
Yes, I do.
If she does, that's okay too.
I can have grandchildren through my sons. Okay, my daughter needs to be a lesbian, because my sons get sexually active at an early age. I don't have to worry about them coming home get pregnant.
All my kids are in that one basket. I've got one daughter. That's all I have. So she's my beautiful, wonderful daughter. And if she becomes a lesbian, that's fine.
Hey, Holiday.
I would still love to have a grandchild bounce on my knees sometime.
Hey, Holiday.
I love her. Yeah.
Quick question. How old's your daughter?
She's 12.
So, your daughter's 12 and Chris is 11. Maybe a little matchmaking there.
There you go. Yeah, there we go. We could be in-laws.
What was that? Say that again. I missed it. What did you say? I'm sorry. Go ahead and say that again.
I'm trying to matchmake your daughters together.
Arranged marriage, man. Arranged marriage. It still happens all over India.
They're gonna have some beautiful cats.
We could be in-laws.
They are. Was going to be a calico, maybe a Siamese.
White people have done it for centuries. Usually it's to keep from slaughtering each other.
My great-grandkids are going to be beautiful.
Just remember to change the litter box. But no, my biggest fear, whether lesbian or not lesbian, is that it'll manifest later on into her relationships, where maybe relapses or something come in, and it destroys her ability to trust somebody, especially in an intimate moment.
Right.
And of course I worry about that for my son too, but Chris, for context.
Sure, I'm sure our daughters are going to be great together. So we don't have to worry about that.
There you go.
So, real quickly, Rutter, are you still there, buddy?
I think we lost Rutter.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, there he is.
No. Who was I talking to that gave the scenario?
Hello?
Scenario of what?
give the scenario of our daughters.
UA.
UA did it.
No. Who was talking? I'm sorry. Who was talking?
UA.
UA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice. Great joke, dude. Nicely done.
So I mean,
joking.
You guys might lose me because my battery's about ready to die and I'm outside. So if you lose me, I'll catch up with you next time. But I'm
Okay.
here until my battery dies.
Now, Rutter, since we know you're still with us, you've been quiet like for 44 minutes, man. Are you all right? Like, how are you handling not only what you were given, but like why have you been silent the whole time?
So in 1995, we've had discussions about my very short-lived career in the ring and how I went on to fighting and all that other stuff. Anyways, in 1995, I went away for 6 years because I beat noodles out the back of the fucking head of a guy who touched my son.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I feel your pain in an extreme way, and I know exactly how you feel. And very few people get the chance to do what I was able to do.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, you call it a curse or call it a gift, I'll do it again and feel fucking no remorse. But it doesn't actually make you feel any better. And at the end of the day, him being in prison, we all wish the worst thing on him. Having been on that side and seeing what situations people get put in, he's in protective custody. He's as safe as he's as safe as could be, to be honest with you.
He's living luxury.
Well, not luxury, but
safety.
He's protected. And however,
he's living good.
There are predators in PC as well. So you might have to navigate some of that. I mean, he's not living the best of the world, and his ass might be a little bit different now than whenever he went in there. But I promise you, it's not what you want to happen to him. And he's not getting it. You know, everybody always says, well, he's getting what he deserves whenever he gets there. I promise you, he's not. Unless someone fucked up his first week and they let him out in the yard and word got out, and that usually doesn't happen in a federal case. So you know, but if he got sentenced to that much time, then you don't have to worry about him being out on the street. Actually, the best thing in the world that could happen is that his level be lowered, so that way he could be taken out of heavy PC, and any step he can make to general pop is actually, now you're stepping into the area where he's going to get what he deserves. But if you haven't been notified of his level being moved or anything like that, which you can request that information, Chris.
That's what I signed up for today.
Okay. So if you want to know where he is, they'll let you know. He'll have initials by his name, and you can ask what they mean. Every state has a different system, but it'll be something along the lines of a PC notation showing you where his leveling is. And if he's in PC, it is what it is. He's just living a very long, fucking horrible, boring motherfucking life, to be honest with you. But if he doesn't have PC next to his name, then you might be getting by default, some revenge. But at the end of the day, kids are fucking resilient, bro. And
yeah, they are.
It doesn't matter if either one of them are able to forget. The fact that a child is able to navigate through life, and whether they forget or not, or they repress the memories, they're able to kind of relive the situation in a way that fits their reality best.
Yeah.
And you have to let the best thing you can do is just hug them whenever they need a hug, let them eat fucking dirt if they need to eat dirt, and always be there whenever you're supposed to be. That's the best thing you can do. If you did that to begin with, then you have nothing to blame, nobody to blame, except this piece of shit.
I appreciate
And
that.
where, that's where the fault lies, and that's where it needs to end. And you just be there and just, hug them.
I appreciate that. I do because, like I said, that's the private side of me that I don't normally let out in the entertainment world, whether it be music, wrestling, this. But if you call this entertainment, but at the end of the day, that is something that it's the first thought when I go to sleep, or it's the last thought when I go to sleep, and the first thought when I wake up every day.
As it should be.
And quite honestly, while editing the episode of Wild High Reviews, getting that email was like a worst nightmare coming true. The thought that he could even remotely have the chance of changing this situation from what it is just something that does not sit well with me at all.
Yeah, I don't
understood. Completely understandable. Completely understandable.
I really don't think that you have to worry about his situation moving other than going to maybe another facility, which means change of level. And then you're, by default getting your heart's desire. If he gets out of PC or whatever, and because that's the way it works in federal custody.
Right.
That the longer you serve, the more likely you are to have a level change, which means being moved to gym pop is what they call it. And, if that happens, then someone is going to tap that ass, I promise you.
And not just that, but if it gets out that he's a child molester, that's basically a...
it's not a death sentence. It's not actually a death sentence. It's a license to rent that ass and make that person's life living hell. It's even worse than a death sentence because, believe me, the people on the inside who are predatory that way, they're not looking to end the life because his life needs to be ended. This is just a piece of shit that we get to use and laugh in the meantime because it's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, well, I do appreciate everybody here letting me air that laundry, and especially in this instance, Anvil.
What have you been talking about?
And Chris. Anvil and Chris, the fact that you guys shared some horrible, horrible shit that you guys unfortunately have suffered too. I greatly appreciate it, but this is after hours, and as much as it's hard to, I think Mr. Holiday is correct, and we need to get to the funny.
Yeah, get to the funny shit, man.
I got a funny thing.
Go on, Chris. You start.
Well, I will start off by cursing out Yue for a minute here.
Whoa! What did I do?
No, go ahead, man, go ahead.
He started hosting a show called Journey to the East, and what this show is that him and Zephyr explore Eastern Japanese or Asian cultures coming in prevalent within the West, influences, cultures, video games, anime, the like. And he and I were having a conversation the other day about Japanese anime, and then I told him how I'm like into older anime, but I really can't get into modern because of the fact it's gotten really childish and silly.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna interrupt you for like 3 seconds.
I don't get anime. I get the storylines and shit like that, but I don't get the cartooning because cartooning it went to such a great level, and it's such a great level. And then anime is at such a basic fucking level that I just can't. It's hard for me to even watch because it's. Yep. Okay. All right.
I'm just gonna interrupt you for 1 second. You and I discussed this the other day about how you don't like modern anime.
Oh, excuse me. It was Anvil. Yeah.
Watching this Grand Blue one.
Thank you.
And I've been watching it, and it's fucking terrible.
Not even modern. Like it's always been
fucking
the same.
Awful. You were like, it's not bad, and I'm like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, man, this is fucking awful. I'm still watching it because I'm hooked now, and I'm a fucking weeb, But I can objectively look at it and say it's kind of fucking awful. It is tropey as trope gets.
Well, it may be fucking awful as an anime, but maybe the reason I like it is because it very much reminds me of like a Kmart version of Final Fantasy. But I
can see that.
I apologize.
See that.
I apologize to Yue.
I don't get it.
I apologize to Yue.
Like Justice League. You watch like Justice League, and the cartooning is
Okay,
so good.
Holiday,
Yes.
hold on one second, dude. I'm going to get to you in a second, because I think that you and I are going to have a little fun with this. What are you trying to say, Chris?
I apologize to Yue because I thought it was him that I was talking to, but it was actually Anvil because we were talking on while playing Fallout 76.
Okay.
And one of the things that we were talking about was like I don't like watching subtitles because it takes away from me watching what's on the screen because I'm busy reading. So I'd rather, even though sometimes the voice acting,
No.
Even though the voice acting, right? Let me finish.
Disagree, man.
But let me finish real quick because it distracts from what's going on the screen because I'm too busy paying attention to the subtitles. So even though the voice acting can be terrible at times, I'd rather, if I'm going to watch an anime, I'd rather have it English dubbed. And I pointed out as an example, like a lot of people talk about Sword Art Online, and anytime I've ever seen Sword Art Online, it was always subtitled. It was always in the original Japanese dialogue, so I could never watch it. I just couldn't get into it. Well, he told me that on Netflix it was English dubbed. Well, fuck you, asshole. I'm fucking already up to second season.
I thought they lit up the first half of season one.
Everybody here, let's face it, everybody here has seen Pan's Labyrinth, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right. Nope.
You heard me.
Oh, fuck.
No.
Get the fuck off here right now and watch Pan's Labyrinth.
Load it up this second.
And then come
Get
back
on
to this
that shiny
conversation.
laptop of yours.
Come back to this
Load
conversation
that
when you
shit
got a
up.
clue. because you don't watch Pan's Labyrinth and nobody remembers the fucking subtitles in it at all.
That is valid. That is valid.
That's straight up fucking truth. Or the girl with the dragon tattoo, if you watch that movie, you don't remember the subtitles. You just fucking watched that movie and you were so sucked into it that it was a displacement of reality. You were so fucking into that movie, everything around you disappeared. Like,
Well,
See,
Pan's
no, I
Labyrinth
agree with
was
Chris.
probably one of the most majestic fucking things ever made.
I'll agree with that somewhat because the only time, at least the last time that I remember a subtitle film got me like that, it wasn't an anime, it wasn't a cartoon. Honestly, it was Passion of the Christ.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was all subtitled.
Because it was all in Aramaic.
How good was that fucking? Yeah, it was all Aramaic. And how good was that fucking movie? Mel Gibson did a fucking genius job with that.
But yeah,
Rutter, you got anything to say on this as our resident movie buff?
yeah, he is the movie guy.
Yeah. So I, for the cartoon discussion, I enjoy anime for the art of it, and you do have to have
art of it. Do you mean
yes,
there's
do you
a
mean
the storyline, or because
style.
the cartooning is shit?
No, it's
Well,
not.
It depends on the anime. It really depends on the anime.
If you look
Deal.
at a series like Akira, that artwork is phenomenal, and it's an incredible piece of artwork that goes on for like 13 fucking years. And as far as like subtitling and everything, for the 99% of the time, I find subtitles to be distracting as well. And I know Pan's Labyrinth is a great example, but that's one example. And the rest of the time, it doesn't work out that way.
Not
distracting.
one. Like I can watch so many great things. Like I was talking about, like the woman with the dragon tattoo, or
Here's
like he was talking about Passion of the Christ. I've seen that in the movies, and oh my god, like you don't even remember. You don't remember the subtitles at all.
To be honest with you, those are two movies I don't even remember at all, let alone the subtitles.
Then again, stop talking to me right now and turn on those fucking movies.
so
Go
I
on,
actually
Anvil.
agree with them. I did love those movies, but I don't like subtitles. but I have extra reason not to. I'm actually a very slow reader and mildly dyslexic, so oftentimes it's hard for me to keep up with subtitles. So I often miss large portions of the story because I didn't get to finish reading a subtitle.
And that's
You
my
hit
problem
pause.
too. Is that
Well, yeah, but then I have to pause 70 times.
Exactly. Well, I'm telling you. I can't speak for you who's dyslexic or whatever, but as a person that can read a regular subtitle, I don't even remember them having subtitles. I'm sorry about your disability. There's nothing I can do about that.
Pan's Labyrinth, I remember that movie fantastically, and like you, I don't remember the subtitle.
Well, where is your fucking
But I do remember
dyslexia
that
then?
movie vividly, and I guess the subtitles must have been moving at the right speed or something, because like I don't remember.
That movie was the exception because it was such a visual masterpiece. The special effects, the way that they did the
But you still
CGI
had
and
to
the
read it. You
puppeteering.
still had to read it. You still had to read every line of it. You still had to read every line of it.
And again, it's still only one movie.
And if you could see me moving my fingers like in a pinched formation, moving forward as I'm saying this.
So, Stolle,
Yeah.
we can't have After Hours be dark anymore, or at least we can't have it be dark with My Worst Holiday on, because boy, does he get salty. Like, damn, man. Do you want me to get you some vinegar with that, too?
Jesus. Oh, what was it? Was it the I could read it? I could read.
My man, I fucking love that. I fucking love that. Fucking dish me the shit, man. I fucking love it.
I'm gonna figure out which episode I'm getting Holiday on for an episode, and we are going to debate the art style of Japanese and American cartoons between cartoons and anime.
Well, see, that's the thing.
We'll spend the whole hour arguing about it.
Well, see, that's the thing. And to be fair, holiday. To be fair, and I'm kind of stepping on Yue's toes here, but anime is a broad spectrum, just like American cartoons are a broad spectrum. You've got realistic cartoons like G.I. Joe, like Justice League, but then you've got the silly cartoons like Betty Boop and Looney Tunes, you know, and anime has the same thing. You have the realistic shit like Vampire Hunter D, Ninja Scroll, Akira, and then you've got the silly shit like fucking Pokemon. You know, and then of course you've got the anime porn, like, you know, known as hentai, where you have vines raping women, you know. So I mean,
but that being said, there's cartoon porn too. It all gets weird there. So
I'm not going to go down that dark hole of anime porn. I don't even know what to do with that.
No.
Well, most people watch it, but I suppose you could also ignore it.
Most people watch it.
Holiday. Write this down. HENTAI. Search it later and thank me later.
Kim, put the pen down.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't have a pen, and I'm not going to write it down.
I'm just sad that my phone's ready to die, so I apologize for that. But yeah.
But I love you, Dusty. I love you.
That's not Dusty.
That's not Dusty.
That's not Dusty.
That's the other. That's the other one you interviewed today.
I'm the other white chick.
You know what? There's more than there's
another token female.
There are other females in Realm of the Mist. We have Venus, we have Kim, we have Dusty, we have Yue, we have a bunch of women on the show.
Oh shit!
How's that for salty?
Wait.
Stolle.
Wait, there's more than one woman on the show?
Well, Kim and Yue. I'm sorry, I had to do it. I'm sorry.
I think you're mad that I'm being funnier than you tonight.
Probably. Probably. There might be a little professional jealousy there. You got that.
Anyway, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome on your show or my show to discuss the the either the anime or the American, I guess it's American animation.
I'll go with that. I don't know. Does America have a quote unquote style, like a title for their animation?
They do.
Yeah, it's called Pixar.
Yeah, Pixar.
There's really two styles of cartoons: anime and Western.
Like
It's actually
even
called
look at
Western.
Rick and Morty, like the cartooning on Rick and Morty, and all of us can agree Rick and Morty is fucking phenomenal.
Right.
Actually, I hate Rick and Morty.
True.
I love Rick and Morty.
Oh wait, I didn't get any feedback.
No.
I didn't get any a pushback on that one.
I actually hate Rick and Morty.
I think I blacked out there for a second. We were talking about how much we love Rick and Morty.
Well, you keep talking about it, but not everybody can agree with it.
And
all right.
and that's why I kept my mouth.
Christopher, here's the thing. You're about to get kicked out as a podcaster because you don't like Rick and Morty.
I'm sorry, I don't like modern Western cartoons. Rick and Morty.
It's okay.
What's that one with the floating meatball and the French fry and the cup? You know, the animation, the jokes are land flat, and the animation is just horrible. I'm sorry, I don't like modern times, what I call the Cartoon Network style of cartooning nowadays.
All right.
Uh-oh.
How do you feel about Steven Universe?
Who?
Because that's very
Steven
different
Universe.
from everything else that's on there right now.
My daughter is a big, huge fan of Steven Universe.
Don't know it. I have no opinion because I don't know it.
So
she's 12.
So I'm going to take this out of Alex's hands for just a minute because I know he could go on a tantrum for Steven Universe all day long, so I will make it short and sweet. I'll make it short and sweet.
I'm gonna say one more thing before you do. Chris is allowed to like and dislike whatever he wants. He also thinks dubstep isn't music, so his opinion isn't exactly...
How many of us have released an album?
Yeah, just one, right?
Just saying. I mean, I'm the one that's closest to an expert on music in this panel.
That's valid, but I dated a girl who was an opera singer who likes dubstep. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny because I musically, like with the orchestra, obviously with opera, I would classify opera as music, but performance-wise, I consider opera more art than music. And I know that music is a form of art in its own right, but I take it more as a stage performance than an actual form of music, like writing music, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely doesn't.
She literally has... She has a master's in musical performance.
Because opera
she had to learn an instrument
is
as well as sing.
Right. Now, I'm not taking away from opera. I'm not saying that opera is horrible or bad or terrible. And I definitely give it to opera singers.
Classical music, because classical, you can't do opera without classical music unless you're like the Who, or Queensryche.
No,
no. I mean, it's like the orchestration of it has to be so tight, and then the music with it has to be that tight with it as well. I think it's the ultimate form of music.
And I agree with that, but I'm saying as far as an opera singer is concerned, it's not like they're getting in a studio with the rest of the orchestra and recording an album. They haven't written the songs. They're performing the songs that somebody else has written. Opera singers, 9 times out of 10, are more about performers than the actual art of music writing. That was the difference I was trying to make.
I agree. I agree with that completely.
That was the separation.
Like,
that was the separation I was pointing.
Talent. Yeah, it's America's Got Talent, or...
Well, hang on. Here's my point. By that logic, none of the classical music would be considered music because none of them wrote that music.
Not true. All of them still understand musical theory to be able to even play their instruments. Whereas when I made the argument with you about dubstep is all computer. It is all computer. It's all pre-generated beats and noise. There's no redeeming actual note within dubstep in any way, shape, or form. as far as musical theory is
opera,
concerned.
With opera, it's classical music. And,
Yeah.
And to perform classical music, I mean, you have, like, the violinist has to be spot on. The oboist has to be spot on. The timpani has to be spot on. Like, these guys have to perfect an art that is so good that you got to be considered for it. It's not
And
like
so
somebody
does
can
the
sing
singer.
there's a million, like, let's face it, like, Christopher Cross is an amazing performer, and he wrote all his music, and he did all that, but he's not even going to be considered today as or Bob Dylan, or Bob Dylan's not going to be considered a musician today, because of where we put our standards as far as the singer. Tom Petty. Let's face it, if Tom Petty or Bob Dylan went on America's Got Talent today, where would they be?
Oh, they'd be voted off because their
Maybe
voices.
sent home.
Yeah, they'd be voted off because their voices aren't what's considered singers today.
Right,
Everybody
but
has to sound like fucking Mariah Carey today, or Beyonce.
Yeah, an opera singer also has to learn musical theory. They also have to, understand the notes, and they have to hit exactly spot on, and they have to work with the most temperamental instrument that there probably has ever existed, the human body.
Well,
It
as
is a large large, wet, soggy sock of an echo chamber covered in mucus, and they have to make that resonate.
all right, I'll retract what I said about opera, okay? Because of the fact that I viewed it as more performance than actual technical music. I will retract. I will stand corrected on that. But on dubstep, you will never convince me otherwise.
And that's fair. I can see where you're coming from on the dubstep. I disagree, but I can understand where you're coming from.
I don't know what dubstep is.
So
Look up Skillerex, you'll understand. But have a bottle of Tylenol.
don't go with Skrillex. Like Skrillex is awful.
No.
Try Toxic
Oh,
Mushroom.
no,
Or
that's not
Monster
music.
Cat.
Sorry, guys, my cat just fucking walked up and clawed the shit out of me, you little bastard.
You all right?
All right, sorry. Yeah.
That reminds me, I want a tattoo. How the hell did we get on musical theory, by the way, from animation? We were talking about anime and animation. Like, quite honestly, we were picking on fucking Holiday, and all of a sudden now it's fucking pick on Chris Day.
I didn't do anything. I was talking about anime, and I was talking about. You're the one who drove it to, like, opera, man. I didn't do that.
I didn't do that. That was Anvil took it to opera.
I blame
I was
science.
going to say, I was getting ready to
You can
discuss
trust me,
Steven
I'm a
Universe,
scientist.
and then all of a sudden Anvil had to interrupt me, as he always does.
That's what I do.
So anyway, you were gonna attack Holiday on his preferences of anime. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm going to save that for my show.
Oh, okay. Okay,
No,
because you were
I
taking it
wanna
over. I
try to
thought you were
get
going to
that
attack.
No, I was going to tell about Steven Universe, because I personally think that's one of the best shows that Cartoon Network has come out with in, I don't know, the last 10, 15 years without breaking a sweat.
I would
And
say
touches
probably
on
ever.
and touches on subjects that a lot of shows won't even touch because they're very real.
Controversial.
But why? But well, here's a question then, and again, we're kind of detracting from the comedy of After Hours here with this. But why does a cartoon need to touch on subjects? Why can't we have good old-fashioned Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry, where it's just slapstick humor and comedy?
Talking about Looney Tunes, did anybody watch, like, the remake of Looney Tunes?
The
Oh
one
my
that
God,
just
that's
released?
terrible.
I'm
It's
so
like a
afraid
train wreck.
to.
You can't look away.
It was fucking genius. It was fucking genius. Lola Bunny.
Wait, which one are we talking about? Because they did 2 remakes of it.
There's a new one that just released.
Not Wabbit, but the actual the Bugs Bunny one.
You're talking about the one where Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck were roommates?
Yes.
That one was good.
That one was good. I enjoyed it.
Good.
That's what we're talking about, Wabbit. And I was like, what? That one's
majestic. It was fantastic. It was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Daffy Duck being just Daffy Duck was fantastic. And Kristen Wiig being Lola Bunny was amazing. I like just spellbound about how good that cartoon series was. It was like 13 episodes because that's all they was contracted for, and they were fucking. That was so fucking funny. They brought in every character, they made them all their own, and they didn't deviate from the character, but they made them more modern, and it was so fantastic. If you haven't watched it, watch every fucking episode. I rocked back and forth at certain times.
Yeah, I watched it. They did get a second season. You know that, right?
What's that?
You know they got a second season, right?
No, they didn't do another season. They did that one run, and then that was it.
It right here.
What, did they release it straight to DVD?
Season. No, I remembered watching it on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Well, I do know they're releasing.
I'm pretty sure I've seen every one of them because I was absolutely all in on all of them.
Yeah, Holiday. I looked it up too. Season 1 had 26 episodes. Season 2 had 26 episodes. So you're looking at 52 episodes in total.
I believe it was HBO. I believe it was HBO or HBO Plus. But they just re-released Looney Tunes. They brought it back, and it's not the old school. It's all brand new shit. Like this week, they released it. So that's why I was trying to get clarification on it because of the fact that I haven't seen this brand new one yet. Like Yue said, I'm kind of scared to see this brand new one because I'm afraid they're going to do to it like they've done if you've ever watched any of the modern Tom and Jerry movies.
No, here I'll do you one. I'll do you a comparison.
I interviewed Sam Quassman. He's on Boomerang. He's doing the Tom and Jerry series on Boomerang, and he does a Little Quacker. And Tom Quassman was fantastic.
Now, Chris, if you want to talk about a show that did a remake that was absolute garbage, original Thundercats, and then the newest version that Cartoon Network is putting out right now, where they basically animated the shit out of it to the point of unrecognizable.
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on whether that's the worst remake ever or if the She-Ra they came out with.
Oh my God! Don't even. Oh.
Hey guys, my phone's about ready to go, so I will talk to you soon. Invite me to the next one, okay?
Absolutely.
Sounds good, Kim.
Bye.
Cool, chick.
Night.
And then there were 4.
We'll work it out.
The Rutter had to bounce, so
we'll work it out. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The Thundercats, like the first time I even saw the animation, I didn't even have to hear the dialogue. As soon as I saw the animation, I was like, "Fuck you." What are you doing to my childhood?
Yeah, I seen the animation. I was like, nope, I'm out.
And here's the thing for me.
I gave it a chance. I watched a full 2 episodes and was ready to claw my eyes out.
Here's the thing for me. I watched and thoroughly enjoyed the '80s original Thundercats. That I have all of the DVDs for. Then Cartoon Network decided to redo it several years ago, and I actually enjoyed that initial remake that they did. It was a retelling of it, new animation. I enjoyed that, and they canceled it, which killed me a little bit inside. Now they're relaunching it with a brand new look and everything, and it makes me want to put a bullet in my mouth.
Well, that's how I feel about the Transformers. Like, I'm a G1 Transformers fan. Like, I suffered the fucking Transformers movie where Hasbro decided the best way to put out a new line of Transformers toys is to kill off every original character. I suffered through that. I wasn't a fan of it myself, but I didn't mind things like Beast Wars. But that bullshit where, like, you had Transformers Rescue Squad, or that Transformers where it was, like, again, really shitty animation and just horrible dated jokes. It was. What are these animators thinking with this shit, or these showrunners?
I agree.
So, Here's my issue.
Well, it's the simplicity. Like they take away your ability to think. I'm a big Columbo fan.
Yeah.
Okay, so like Columbo from the 70s, like
Peter Falk.
and I love it. But they redid it in the 80s, but they took away the ability to think at all on it. Like they call you an idiot, basically is what they're doing. They're calling you a moron. They feel that you don't get things. So they make it so simplistic that they think that you can't think. And I hate that.
Well, see that's where I was going when we were talking about anime before. When Anvil and I were talking about anime before, modern anime to me it feels exactly that, where it's all flash and ooh look shiny with jokes that land flat, as opposed to animations like Rutter brought up, like Akira, which you really got to pay attention to even understand the story. Like, they really make you think, as well as having great animation and great dialogue.
They take away, if you watch old movies, and I love old movies.
Right.
They use so few actors.
Right.
And they rely on a great storyline.
Exactly.
And they make you think about something like they'll make you like there's so many things that'll go on in it that you won't understand if you've never been a reader, or if you're just the most they prey on, the news shows prey on how simple of a fucking person you are.
Right.
Like like we understand that you're a moron, and you're going to get these simple jokes. Just like the original Looney Tunes, they put jokes in there that nobody will get unless you're intelligent.
Well, that was the thing. The original Looney Tunes skirted past the censors, and I mean skirted past the censors, because half of their jokes were extremely risque. They're tamed by our standards, but back in the 30s and 40s. Back in the 30s and 40s, like the ultimate one that always pops in my head was the episode of Bugs Bunny where he was tormenting a department store clerk, and he winds up dressing as a female bunny, and the guy gets all like woohoo, like ooh, a hot chick and shit. And Bugs Bunny turns around and says to him, "I'd like to see something in a pair of bedroom slippers." And the guy, as sly as he could, elbows her and says, "Confidentially, so I." In the 30s, it was lucky that even passed, because the sexual innuendo in that one line was thick.
Yeah.
I mean,
or he's playing like the one that I seen was Looney Tunes is Bugs Bunny's playing the piano, and he's playing Franz Liszt, and he's playing it, and the telephone rings, and he picks it up, and he goes, "Hello?" And he goes, "Franz Liszt, never heard of him." like nobody would know that piece that he was playing was actually Franz Liszt,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Franz Liszt, like, so, like, nobody would get that. Like today, like, that would fall so fucking short of being funny. Like it would just go right by him, because nobody knows who Franz Liszt is.
Exactly.
Nobody knows classical music. Nobody knows any of that kind of a thing. So like that joke, like, just absolutely ruled me, and nobody else around me would laugh.
And I think that's something that, like, not just in cartoons, whether it be anime or Western movies, TV shows, hell, fucking late night shows, is sorely lacking, is content that's not only entertaining,
Highbrow humor,
but thought provoking. Thought provoking.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to even be humor, right? Whether like Holiday was saying about Columbo, even the non-humorous shows. Like, look at Law and Order. When Law and Order first came out, you thought about Law and Order. Now, by Criminal Intent and all that, they're basically handing it to you on a silver platter, because you're not smart enough to figure out the plot on your own.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
like my wife hates me. My wife hates me because we'll be watching a movie, and I'll go, "Oh yeah, this is gonna happen. That's gonna happen."
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
That I have, an anime has fallen into it really hard. Cartoons haven't. The Western cartoons haven't so much because most of them don't have like an actual plot line. Usually it's like this happens and then they repeat that at every episode. But anymore, a lot of it's become, I'm going to follow the same cookie cutter layout of, for instance, action movie, or the same cookie cutter layout of anime girl falls in love with main character, or, you know, anytime you're watching a show
like
anymore,
you know, I like to watch Lifetime because it's the absolute funniest fucking network on TV.
What, the Oprah network doesn't do it for you?
Just like everything is like, it's just like I was standing there and I was in a TV store that I used to run, and me and my buddy here are standing there, and I go, I've never seen this show before. The guy comes pulling up, and this old guy's standing by this fence, and the guy comes up, he goes walking out, and this guy says, and I said it before the guy even said it, I ain't seen you in these parts for a while. And the guy says, I ain't seen you in these parts for a while. Like, I'd never seen the show before, but I could tell the dialogue before it even fucking happened. Like, that's how stupid we are now. Like it's so predictable that's what's gonna happen.
Well, like I said, it's in all media. You know, whether it's music, movies, cartoons, TV shows, fucking video games. Most people now would rather. A perfect example. I'm actually watching it happen right here. My girl is actually sitting here playing a game right now. The Call of Duty series is a perfect example. When Call of Duty first came out, of course it revolutionized the multiplayer deathmatch scenario with with their online play. But Call of Duty has always had a solid first-person campaign, a single-player campaign with a hellaciously great story arc up until Black Ops 3 was a weak story, which was really terrible, but World War II had a phenomenal story. But then they decided, well, we'd rather make more multiplayer and then also throw in this bullshit fucking Battle Royale style in Black Ops 4 and forego campaign altogether. You took away the only thought-provoking part of the whole entire fucking game for stupid turn-based idiocy. Button mashing. Because, again, your audience is not smart enough to handle being able to follow a storyline.
Right.
Well, what I think it is like...
They don't have the attention span. That's something that I find even more insulting. Like, it's one thing to be uneducated. It's another thing to say, well, I don't think you can pay attention long enough to finish this.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why Breaking the Fourth Wall's interview sessions are about a half an hour.
There it is. I think what the thing is that we do have all this multimedia and stuff like that now, and we've forgotten our past, and nobody's interested in the past. Like, everything is so, like, now, and we don't actually think about... I'm a big World War I buff, and...
There's something you don't hear every day.
Buff. Yeah, and I'm a big history buff. But nobody is anymore. Somebody says something like, well, this is going on. And I go, no, this happened 100 years ago, man.
Right.
And nobody knows that. Nobody knows the past anymore. Nobody embraces what happened before anymore. Everything's in the now.
Everything's repeating again is because everybody ignores.
Exactly. Nobody knows the past, so it's doomed to repeat itself.
Well, see,
I've said it better myself.
See, I'm still blown away that you're a World War I buff, because people who follow historically, like, and my uncle was a perfect example. because he was a Civil War reenactor. He was a big Civil War buff. He was actually one of the extras in Gettysburg. He played a Confederate soldier that died in the Battle of Gettysburg. But he also did Civil War reenacting. He was a big Civil War buff. And what I find amazing is most people who are history buffs, especially history of war buffs, they always go to the Civil War. They always go to the Revolutionary War. They always go to World War II. You never hear something, or
nobody goes to World War One.
You never go to World War One. You never go to like Korea. You never go to the Gulf War. You know what I mean? It's always World War II, Civil War, Revolutionary War, Vietnam.
I haven't studied Korea that much, but I know it's very complex. But to know the reality of what is right now, you really need to go back to World War One. It is such an amazing, like, it started out like, if you want to know what French soldiers looked like going into the Napoleonic Wars, look at the beginning of World War One, because they didn't change, and the world had. They were going out into battle like in blue, like the generals and the colonels and stuff like that were riding out in like big blue uniforms with feathers on their hair and on their helmets and shit like that. Like, you could tell who the fucking leaders were, and they were just picked off. And the Germans all dressed in gray, and they all had machine guns, and nobody had that before then. And it was just fucking crazy how everything changed in 4 years. It was amazing.
And that was a lesson Germany.
Planes became something. Machine guns became something. Artillery, like heavy artillery, became something. And everybody was wiped out with this huge cannon fodder. Like, they were all cannon fodder. Like, all of them were. And nobody realized what was going on as this war went on. It was crazy. And then gas. It's so phenomenal. I'm a big comic guy, and I'm a big, but I don't listen to comedy. I listen to history. It's crazy what happened in that war.
Well, it's kind of funny because the way you point out is actually absolutely true. In both world wars, Germany forced, obviously I'm not singing the praises of like Nazi Germany or anything else, so understand what I'm saying here. But Germany has forced the hand of the world twice in two different wars to step forward. What he's saying with artillery and machine guns and having your infantry dressed the same so you don't know who's the leaders and stuff of that nature, that forced World War I and the world to have to change their tactics and their thinking. World War II, the Nazis did it again because they came with fucking tanks, and they were facing like Poland and shit, still riding horseback.
Right.
Yeah.
The exact same thing.
And not just that. They didn't just have tanks. They had an air force that was unrivaled. At the time, when they started, they were literally unrivaled. They had the largest air force in the world. And their air force would just go through and bombard everyone and everything for a full 12 hours before anyone even marched in there. So by the time that they've rolled in with their tanks against these guys with horses and fucking pea shooters,
so much more than that.
Everything was just obliterated. And that's sort of what...
Not to mention Germany's subservice. The Wolfpack was a feared thing. They were light years ahead of everybody else in subnautical warfare.
Again, you guys are right back in World War II.
No, I know, but what I was meaning is that the point that I was trying to make between World War I and World War II is that that is a perfect example of those who don't remember the past are doomed to repeat it. World War II was not that long ago from World War I, but Germany had already shown tactics that made the world change, and then when Germany took the world to war again, the exact same thing happened. Germany forced the rest of the world to turn around and say, wait a minute, why are we behind the times with these guys?
Right.
That was the point I was trying to make.
If I was to ask you,
I would like to say, watch out for China now.
Who's the one person that changed everything in the last decade and a half? the one person that changed everything in the last decade and a half, what would your answer be?
For modern times?
Changed everything in 150 years. Who's the one person that changed everything?
Oh, when you said last decade, I'm thinking the last 10
Yeah.
years. Last decade.
I'm sorry.
Last decade, I would say
150
Osama
years.
bin Laden.
Nope.
In last decade.
No, in the last decade. No. Last 150 years.
150 years. I would definitely say Jack Kilby and Robert Noyce.
Nope.
The people who invented the computer chip?
Nope.
The microchip?
I'd say Adolf Hitler.
Nope.
He forced change.
I'm
not giving him.
even going
I'm not
to
giving.
guess.
No, I'm not giving. Understand again. I'm not giving that answer as I'm giving him credit. He did force the rest of the world to have to change. That was my reasoning.
That changed everything. Changed everything in a single moment. One guy.
Oh, the assassinate. Oh, fuck. What was his name?
Not the assassination of JFK.
No.
Nope.
No. Okay.
That prince what started all of World War One.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't think of his name right now.
Krivali.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Congratulations.
I can see that.
I could ask 100 people right now, and nobody would know that. And you fucking nailed it.
I see where you're coming from, and I absolutely can agree with that. However, I would actually say
it changed. There's nations that aren't nations anymore. There's the entire demographic of Europe, the entire demographic of the United States, everything from one shot, from a couple shots, from one guy, Princess Grabali.
I would disagree in the fact that I believed the microchip's invention was more pivotal. Because with the microchip, it allowed communications to hit unprecedented levels. It allowed integration and cooperation between people from such immense distances that basically borders became null and void. You could no longer stop the flow of information.
And we all use it for fucking cat videos and porn.
That's true.
Thank you.
But you couldn't.
I also see where you're coming from. Whereas, had World War I not happened, it's very likely the microchip never would have been invented.
Wouldn't have needed to.
It might have been. It might have been. But it might have been done under it would have been done a royalty versus a democracy, or
not necessarily under a royalty. The U.S. had already existed by that point.
Right, but I get what he's saying. Had World War I not happened, the whole entire landscape, not only politically, but otherwise, the whole entire landscape of the world might be completely different. That we don't know if the United States would exist today.
Well, now realize before World War I, there was a royalty-based class in Austria-Hungary, and Germany, and Russia, and Poland. There wasn't even a Poland really, but like this changed the entire landscape of Europe or the world. Not us necessarily, but it changed everything. So whoever came to make the microchip or anything else like that, the entire landscape of that is totally changed.
Right. And on another point, had World War I World War II probably wouldn't have happened. Japan would still be a feudal system, more than likely.
Oh, without World War I, World War II definitely would not have happened. Without World War I, World War II never would have happened, because the whole entire reason for World War II, was because of the tariffs and sanctions placed on Germany after the loss in World War I.
But the thing about World War I, it was for no reason, absolutely no reason. It was a bunch of monarchs and everybody else that got their cocks hard and everything went into a state of war over a monarchy.
I have to disagree. It was over everything, the same thing that just about every war has been over. A bunch of rich people telling a bunch of poor people to go kill each other for them.
You mean a monarchy?
A monarchy, a democracy,
No,
whatever it is.
just
it's always
monarchies. It was all monarchies.
Look
it up. It's all monarchies.
Yeah. Then, but I'm saying now it's still the same thing. Still a bunch of rich people telling poor people to go fight and kill each other because I said so.
Yep.
Again, those who don't remember the past
are doomed to repeat it.
All right, brothers. Hey, man, I got to get off here. Love you guys.
Take it easy, brother. Tell everybody where they can find my worst holiday.
There, wear your jackets.
See ya, Holiday.
Hey, you guys have a great night, man.
Thanks, you too. I'll try to get you on the show next time that I get a good topic going, okay?
Hey, you're welcome anytime. Oh, anytime. You got a funny or embarrassing life story? Yeah, get a hold of me, man. I'll put you on.
I got a couple of good ones about Dusty that I really wanted her to tell, but she chickened out on, so I'm going to pull the rug out from under her.
Not really. No, you know, we just go with the flow, and she was fucking wonderful. She's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, you're welcome anytime, man.
Sounds good.
All right, yeah, you got all my information, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, brother. Chris, always a pleasure. Love you. And we're a Realm of the Mist podcast. And hey, you guys have a great night.
You too, brother.
Bye.
I think on that note, we need to wrap this one up too. We took this one a little extra long, but that's all right. We had funny in, but it wasn't a whole lot of funny this episode. Instead, it was dark and dark and dark, and then we went in war. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this episode did that.
I guess we did talk anime in the middle.
And on that disappointment, it's time to end.
Sorry,
I've been watching a lot of Grand Tour lately.
Okay.
Bye, Jock. Love you.
Charlotte! Hey, love you too.
That would be Aunt Charlotte Blueberry. For those of you who don't know her, she might have a podcast at some point on Realm of the Mist called Story Time with Aunt Charlotte Blueberry. Where she reads her stories.
I'm so glad I know about this. Oh, wait.
We talked about this like a month and a half ago.
Did we?
It was before the quarantine. Yes.
I'm expected to remember shit from a month and a half ago. Yeah, so, more the merrier. Fuck it. Yeah, we'll do it.
That's what you said then.
Yeah, there you go. Pets don't change much. Well, get her to the mic. Let her speak. Wait a minute. Are you still sitting in the bathtub?
Yeah,
he's been in the bathtub this entire time. Have
You've got to be a prune.
No, I use enough salt. That's the trick. Lots of salt.
And he stays warm because Charlotte pours boiling water in his tub.
And brings me a giant bowl of cut fruit because she's
poor
literally the best wife in the world.
Poor Charlotte. She's got to see him all shriveled and shrunken, and admit it looks like a grub wearing a turtleneck, doesn't it?
Actually, no, because it's nice and warm. And to put it the way she put it, very lovely, is, man, I really like your penis, but your balls, they're just like, there. And there's your funny.
Well, here's your funny. Charlotte, be honest. I want a woman's opinion. How weird is it to watch the head of the penis float to the surface? Like it has a little pocket of air.
He does a lot of tricks with his penis. I'm just saying he does a lot of tricks with his penis, so nothing is surprising anymore.
There's no pocket of air on circumstances.
I can't think of a better way to end the podcast, buddy.
That's it.
And on a high note, just stop the recording now.
Guys, we'll catch you on the next After Hours.